All right. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen wa sallallahu wa sallam wa baraka ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man tabi'ahum bi ihsanin ila yawm ad-din amma ba'd. Brothers and sisters in Islam, needless to say, in many of our discussions, we covered a very critical matter. I've always advised, insinuated directly or indirectly, the importance of hijrah, the importance of living among the Muslims, being among the Muslims, with the Muslims, and abandoning and leaving behind the lands of disbelief. And every time I've spoken about this issue, we face a lot of challenges. I know a lot of you face a lot of challenges. It's not as easy as it is said. It's easier said than done, as they say. And perhaps one of the most complicated and challenging elements is finance. How do you manage to sustain, or how do you earn a living if you're, if you move from one country to another without landing a job in that particular country? And for many people, there's a solution. And that solution lies in the concept of being able to earn money by having a job that doesn't geographically restrict you to a particular place. Meaning you earn your income through online businesses and online options, and that gives you the freedom to be able to A, make money, B, save money, C, if you already have a job, it will expedite the process of you actually migrating, and 4, it is halal. It is one of the challenges is being able to earn a lawful source of income, having a lawful source of income. So all of these can be fixed and resolved, and it will help facilitate your moving to a Muslim country if you're able to achieve that goal. And to do that, we have with us Brother Jamil Karabayv. Brother Jamil is someone who's heavily involved in this particular means of earning a living. And I brought him on today, inshallah, to have a discussion with him so that he can give you, brothers, basically teach you the ropes, teach you the tools, provide you with the platform and the guidance and the means for you to actually enter into this realm and this field and be able to benefit from it accordingly. And so I'm very excited because this could be great news for many of you that have been struggling in this regard. So Hayakallah, ya Mr. Jamil.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hayakum Allah, Sheikh. Alhamdulillah, it's a pleasure to be on with you today, to be on your channel. May Allah protect and preserve you. I'm sure many of us watching have actually benefited from your channel. So actually being on here, alhamdulillah, is an honor from Allah tabarak wa ta'ala, because there aren't that many channels, alhamdulillah, which teach obviously authentic Islam. May Allah protect and preserve you. So
tell us about yourself, your journey. I heard you made hijrah, mashallah, tabarakallah, to Medina and then to the UAE at the tender age of 21. How did you pull that one off?
Alhamdulillah. So generally, I was in the West, like many brothers and sisters. Generally, I believe watching this, this discussion between us, and to be honest, hijrah isn't something which is easy for many, especially because of the challenges of making money online, especially for those who have families, who are married, have children. And, by the will of Allah tabarak wa ta'ala, I was able to get married at the age of 19. Obviously, I have my wife and son here now with me in Sharjah, alhamdulillah. And, my first hijrah stop was Medina. So I was in Medina for some time. And then I moved over to Sharjah. There were a couple of different reasons. Obviously, Medina is much better. But, family and a couple of different other reasons and things that I had to tend to. So, alhamdulillah, I plan to be back and forth. I'm actually planning to go back in December. But I think one of the key things for me was learning a high income skill. There are many high income skills which are in demand these days. And for me, that was obviously getting into remote sales, getting into high ticket sales. And, up till now, from the age of 18, 19 until now 21. Sort of that's how I've, alhamdulillah, generated income. Starting, at the time when I was 18, 19, making a couple $1,000s a month, all the way until now, alhamdulillah, where I'm much more comfortable in terms of obviously my income. And all of this is by the fadl of Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala. Yahdi man yasha, He guides whom He wills. Wa yarzuq liman yasha, and He gives His rizq to whom He wills. But obviously,
يرزق ويرزق من يشاء. I don't think there's liman.
نعم يعني هذا يعني I didn't want to mention the ayah, but يعني
I have to جزاك الله خير.
جزاكم الله خيرا شيخ, أحسن الله إليكم.
I'm gonna get on your case, so you're gonna have to excuse me in this regard. طب معلش جميل, يعني I think the listeners might have gone excited at this point, just like I did when you first told me about this, and it took me a little bit to understand some of the terminologies. So maybe obviously when someone comes from a background that they're very familiar with, they speak as such. The listener who may not be on the same wave may not understand. So can you just, before you go deeper, can you tell us what is a high ticket sale or high ticket income? What does that break down to?
Yeah, so I think generally, as Muslims, we have to understand that there are a number, especially as Muslim men who are trying to get out of the West, that there are a number of certain skill sets or certain remote careers which are sought after, such as, remote sales reps, or in some cases, copywriters. Now you have AI agencies, you have, software developers. You have so many different ways which you can make money remotely online. Sort of more outside of the 9 to 5, because obviously outside of the corporate realm, more like freelance type of ways, because that's a lot easier when you go international, because generally if you're in a corporate remote job, then that really attaches you to the country, because what that does is they tell you can't leave, etc. So you're looking for something more freelance and in terms of hours more flexible. So just like the things I mentioned, having your own agency or working as a high ticket sales rep, or, being a copywriter, or, working as a software developer, all of these are different, high income skills. But generally the one which I have experience in and that I've helped, in my pay program, I have more than 100 Muslim men by the will of Allah, and we've helped many brothers go full time. Alhamdulillah. And, so yeah, alhamdulillah, I've helped many brothers go full time. And generally the one which I found the most success in is, in being a high ticket sales rep. And to be honest, it's not for everybody. It's for a certain type of people who can mainly speak English and speak English well, have a laptop, have an internet connection, are dedicated, and are Muslim men. Then, this can be a very easy way for you to make remote income without having to learn complex skills such as software engineering, etc. Because I came from a background of software engineering. I got into, working when I was 15, 16, etc. But generally where I saw the most leverage and the easiest way to generate income was high ticket sales. So now high ticket sales is the field of selling coaching, courses, and consultancy, which is priced highly, so in many cases, several $1,000s online. So you're a sales rep for a certain company or an influencer or somebody with a product like that. And there are sort of two roles in this. So there is an appointment setter, and then there's a closer. So the appointment setter is responsible for setting the meetings for the closer to, go on to them and actually sell this product, bring the customer over the line. And you might be thinking, well, who has these products? Generally, influencers, people with influence online. The easiest way today for them to make a lot of money out of monetizing their influencing is by building expensive products which cater to a niche, of a specific audience. Now, I know many different companies who are selling high ticket products, which make several $100,000 every month. And I was in Medina just about a month or 2 months ago, and I met different influencers, different people with products who have actually, some of them have made millions, in terms of millions, in the 7 figures online, just selling these high ticket products. And now The place for high ticket sales reps is you work for these people because they have so many customers who want to buy from them. All you have to do is be the middleman in terms of helping the customer go from not knowing anything about the product to totally having bought that person's product. So, you know, I've recently had 2 brothers hired onto a team where there were like 30 sales reps or something similar to that. And the amount of money that that company is making is just huge because, for example, the price of their product is several thousand. These are many examples. Obviously, we've got many brothers in roles doing this, but obviously the entry role to this is being an appointment setter. So that's the first entry role where basically you're talking to these interested customers and making an appointment with them and a more senior member of the team to get that product sold. Does that make sense? And that might be having a 20-minute chat with them on the phone, or that might be DMing them and texting them and understanding if they're a fit for it, if they're financially qualified, if they want the product, and all these different types of things, right? And actually doing the appointment setting itself, being that first level sales rep, doing it for somebody who was raised in the West, somebody who has English, somebody who has an internet connection, a laptop, somebody who wants to work hard, has hours to put in, doing the actual thing isn't that hard. The harder thing is getting into a role which is which is a good role, which fits your values, etc., and being able to actually know how to navigate the interview process with these different. Because in the end of the day, this isn't really a field where you just go and you search, for example, I don't know, LinkedIn or Indeed or something like this. There is a certain way to get placed at these companies with these influencers, and because the working is a bit more informal. It's not like hard contract based and stuff like that. You need to know how to get yourself into the space, and also obviously setting appointments, becoming good at e-sales in terms of selling expensive products, and being a sales rep. That also requires skills for you to build up. And alhamdulillah, there are many places where you can learn that. But yeah, generally high ticket sales. I just had, like yesterday, Sheikh Abu Musab, I had a brother come in. I filmed with him a lot. Alhamdulillah, he came to I actually live at the Hilton in Sharjah, and he came here and we stayed together. And he's 19. 5 months ago, he was working security, he was in full-time education, etc. Now he's full-time dropped out of education. He's traveling. He's 19 years old, and he makes around $3,000 to $4,000 a month, right? He actually got into my program when he was 18, for example. So this is an example of somebody who's completely transformed their life by the will of Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala by learning a high income skill like high ticket sales. And right now he works as a high ticket sales rep for 2 companies. Today, I actually messaged that same brother. He was on a plane. I think he got on a plane this morning. I messaged the same brother. I was like, brother, I really want you for this role where you can make maybe $3,000 in a very short amount of time. And he told me, I'm not interested, because he's already got 2 roles. Does that make sense? And he's only 19 years old. And there are many stories, alhamdulillah, like this of brothers who've got in and have gone remote, and they're able to travel, fully. And that brother's fully, like, stepping out of education full time and stepping out of everything you were doing to something like this. That means it must be really working out. So alhamdulillah, I've seen time and time again brothers who've gone full time in this field. Alhamdulillah.
MashaAllah. So can anyone get into that?
So specifically, the market is that's why I said this is for a specific type of person. So it's not for everybody to get into. So it's for Muslim men who basically want to make money online. Muslim men who want to, of course, non-Muslims, etc., can get into this. There are many different offers, different influencers selling different offers, halal and haram. So important you work for somebody who's selling a halal product, etc., or halal consultancy, coaching, etc. course.
So through you, all the options are the halal options. Whatever you're affiliated with or whatever you provide is halal.
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. All that all that my program allows is we only focus on the halal. So we have like maybe sometimes we've had 300 roles posted recently in my paid program. So a lot of brothers have been getting roles. Like one or 2 weeks ago, a brother joined. He just got into a role a couple of days ago. So we have a team which runs my program, and one of the I have a team who runs which runs my program, and one of the brothers who's already actually in a role at a top company, he's in charge of the role division. So he puts out a lot of roles. Recently, around 300 roles posted. And some days 15 up to 20 roles are sometimes posted, up to 15, 20 roles. So a lot of roles are coming through. And
is
generally,
it possible that it's saturated? Like, can someone say, okay, well, this sounds good, but obviously something like this might just be a short-term fling type of thing. You just have, you make a little bit of money, it's quick cash, and then it's like one of those hit and run. Is this? But I mean, somebody says, look, if I'm going to move to another country, I need to be able to continue to provide for myself and for my family. I need that steady income. A corporate job offers me that kind of stability. So the challenge that is out there now is how long does one expect to be involved in a role like this if the market is saturated? If it's not saturated, then this could be like someone's main job for years on end, and khalas, they could basically become, inshallah, rich and use that money in a way that is pleasing to Allah, but they could become rich off of this?
Yeah, so the thing about this industry of high ticket sales, sales reps, etc., it's a very hidden industry. So most people behind the camera are going to be hearing about this the first time, because this is an online industry where basically there are people with products, influencers, etc. A lot of Muslim products, and most people are consumers of these. So they'll get into people's funnels, they'll buy from them, etc. In fact, I was actually working for a specific high ticket product, and just recently, maybe a couple of weeks ago. So that's not my own product; that was somebody else's product. And I was working as a high ticket closer, which is the next thing from an appointment setter, which is the senior advisor who kind of makes a deal happen and takes a payment, etc., gets a person into that specific influencer's program. And at that time, the brother asked me, "What do you do? What do you do for a living? Does that make sense?"
Yeah.
He had no clue that what was happening was, and of course there was taradi, that he wanted to buy the product, he wanted this influencer's product, he wanted the transformation which this influencer was offering bi'idhnillah, and he was so he wanted to buy that, brother. But
Yeah.
what he didn't realize is the person behind the screen is a sales rep. Does that make sense? The thing he didn't realize is that this is a full-time thing. That's why I'm saying it's quite hidden. And I actually addressed that same question about saturation in an event that I actually sponsored in Medina. I was one of the sponsors. Alhamdulillah, I paid $5,000 about more than a month ago. And by the will of Allah tabarak wa ta'ala, I answered that there. And in the audience of that event, there were a number of entrepreneurs who are making who have made and are making big amounts of money from high ticket sales. So people with products, etc., and with teams. One of them actually hired 2 brothers from my program, right? Because we help brothers get in. So my program is a launch pad for brothers to get in, train high ticket sales, train to become appointment setters, and get their first role, and bi'idhnillah, make thousands of dollars. So the thing about saturation, I addressed that in there, and what I said was, look, right now we live in an influencer economy. Does that make sense? We live in an economy where followers, they really are a big thing. So for example, a lot of people, they know Sheikh Abu Musab, right? They know the Ustad, may Allah preserve him, and many other people online, because these people have attention online. So a lot of people with followers online, they will look to monetize their following. So the way they'll do that is they'll build high ticket products, and because they're so busy, obviously they've got a lot of followers, they've got a lot of stuff to do, focus on the product, etc. Once they make some sales and money starts coming in, they'll hire sales reps because they want to scale up and do more and more and more sales. So as their followers increase, they have more potential customers. So they need more sales reps. So as followers increase, they need more sales reps. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So more people are getting on social media every day. More people are following other people. The economy of followers of each influencer is growing. They need more sales reps. That's why you see so many Muslim offers, hiring. Like a couple of, the guy that I spoke to yesterday, he had so many offers. Like he was offered a role where he could make $10,000 to $20,000 in just 2 weeks of working. Or 2 to 3 weeks of working 14 days, but he had to turn it down because he was traveling to Turkey, then he came to UAE, and he's going back to Australia, etc. So so the internet is growing, people are following influencers, etc., people with those products, and those people need bigger sales teams to cater to their followers. so they can sell them into those products. Does that make sense? And these
Makes
products,
sense.
alhamdulillah, as Shaykh Abdul Salam al-Shuwairi, he says, the biggest shart, I actually heard this from a brother who's 19 who got into my program, is also full-time high ticket sales, another brother. He told me the biggest shart in bay', Sheikh can correct me if I'm wrong, is taradi, is being pleased.
Mutual agreement and satisfaction.
Mutual agreement, satisfaction. And this is exactly what high ticket sales it really wants. The person's only going to want to pay. They're going to be the one to pull out their card and pay for the thing. What you're doing as a high ticket salesman, you're facilitating transaction and you're getting percentage. For example, it might be 10% if the product's $5,000. It might be 10%, which is $500 just from one sale. If you're an appointment setter, for example, it might be 5% or 10%. So if you set, for example, maybe let's say 60 appointments in a month, and let's say 20 close, and you get 5% of a $5,000 product, then that means you'll make $5,000 that month. And appointment setters can make thousands of dollars all the way up to, for example, I've seen cases of $10,000, etc. And then once they climb to becoming closers, which is the next stage, so appointment setter is the entry, then you climb to become a closer, because you need to have a bit of experience here, because for closer positions, that's like the last level sales rep, where that person is dealing with the customer at the last stage, and he's going to be the one to make them pull their card out and pay for the product and convince them that this can help them, and it's the thing that they're looking for. And this is basically the transformation that they want, whether that be a fitness product coaching, whether that be Arabic coaching, whether that be for example helping their business grow, many different types of things. They're going to be really the last level sales rep, and those are the more experienced people. So after appointment setters usually climb to become closers after some experience. But the beautiful thing about being an appointment setter is you can make thousands of dollars a month. So there was one entrepreneur who spoke at that event in Medina, and he was like, with $3,000 a month, $3,000 a month, you can easily live and make hijrah. Like as an appointment setter, you can make that money, alhamdulillah. If you're in a good role, on a good offer, you can make that money. You can make much more. Like you can make like 10K as well. Like, so you can make up to a couple thousand until 10K, but this isn't brothers. Like this isn't get rich quick, right? This is a real role where you're gonna have to put maybe 5-6 hours every day, work as an appointment setter at the start, maybe a bit, if you find a part-time role, a bit less, and you'll be making commission. So every successful appointment you set, which gets closed by the closer, your senior sales rep on the team, you'll be making a commission off of that. That's usually how the structure is based. So for example, this brother who I hosted yesterday, who's went full-time for my program, he also gets a base salary. So his base salary is like low 4 figures. So they also give him a base salary. Sometimes you'll get base plus commission. Sometimes you'll just get commission. And you can make thousands of dollars, all the way up to even 10K. And then later when you climb to become a closer, closers can make all the way from like 5K to 30K a month, which is amazing money, alhamdulillah.
So can we say to the brothers, those who want to be safe, that they could keep their job for now and then try this out and then see, because as you said, it's not for everybody. And then if they find that this is suitable for them, then, they see that they have the skill to set these appointments and eventually deliver it to the closer who will finish off the sale. Is that a fair piece of advice? Or are they expected to go full time or I mean, how do you look at it?
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. So this is something which a lot of people sort of inquire about, and sort of something where a lot of people worry and things like that. The first stage in obviously once you get into high ticket sales and appointment setter is learning appointment setting. Once you finish learning appointment setting, then you want to get into a role, and that process requires you basically, we've got a whole I've got a whole role finding course. My team we got a whole role finding course. Got a whole role finding course in my program, which is several hours. And then the next stage is obviously after you learn appointment setting is getting into a role. So that requires you basically using a couple of different methods to get into a role. All through this process, you can be working full-time, no problem. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Once you get into a role which is going to be paying you good money, like there are a lot of leads coming in, there's a lot of opportunity, you can be making thousands of dollars a month. You can basically do 1 month where you're working your current job and you're also working this role. Now, this may take a little bit more time. Might mean like 10 hours of work a day. Does that make sense? If you don't want to just drop it, what you can do is you can immediately switch. So what I'd recommend is having savings, immediately switching to high ticket sales, and then boom, After a couple months, boom, you're like these guys who are full-time. Does that make sense? Alhamdulillah, I'm full-time, like many other brothers who are full-time. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You can do that. If you want to be more safe, you can keep both. You can work a bit hard. Listen, hijrah is not easy. Nobody said yani hijrah is yasir, subhanallah. It's not like, as a Muslim
How long
man,
did it take you to make hijrah?
so for me, the first thing that I focused on when I got into making commission from obviously I was working at a company at the start, was marriage, الزواج. So I focused on الزواج first. هذا الأول يعني the person is على نفسه بصيرة. Upon himself, he knows himself what he wants to do, what are the goals. Just like Sheikh Aziz Farhan, he was asked, should you make hajj or get married first? And then he says you should look to his situation. This is what he says. So for me, it was getting married, settling down, going through that phase, and then after that, making hijrah. I actually wanted to make hijrah much before I actually ended up making hijrah. But the problem was my wife fell pregnant. Does that make sense? So I had to elongate it was not a problem, alhamdulillah, it's a blessing, alhamdulillah. So I had to elongate my stay, and then I made the move to Medina in about July, and now I'm here in Sharjah, and bidnillah, I'm never going back to the West. I hope I never ever step a foot in there. That's what I told my family as well. But
may Allah facilitate it for you. So what does your day look like in UAE?
Yeah, so in terms of my day, obviously sometimes I'm on closing calls since I'm a high ticket closer. I was working for another product just like 10 days ago, but I stopped working for that product just because I closed, alhamdulillah, thousands of dollars. And then it was getting a bit hectic because I was obviously focused on running my program, helping Muslim men get into appointment setting, and also doing closing for that, and then working on this other product. And subhanAllah, the most important thing we have to come back to is the niyyah. Why did we do this? Yani, for me, it was to free up my time to seek ilm when I come to these lands. So now I'm trying to also have balance. Obviously, balance is important. So I'm trying to go to lessons. There are a lot of mashayikh, alhamdulillah. A good amount of mashayikh. Of course, nothing like Medina, but my mother is here, alhamdulillah. So that's a very big thing. And also, I wanted to come here for some financial reasons as well, in terms of setting up my accounts, my bank accounts, etc. here. So for somebody making better money, you don't want to have anything set up in the West. Like they're going to tax you crazy. So alhamdulillah, on day to day, I'm working maybe 5-6 hours every day, and alhamdulillah, currently I'm staying in Al Majaz in Sharjah.
Somebody wants to reach you. Somebody got excited. They want to make more money. They might have different motives. Some people just don't want to work in a mixed environment. There could be many reasons why someone would want to be interested in something like this. So I don't want to restrict it to one particular category, even though they might be a majority of them who are interested in hijrah. But for whatever the reason may be, how could you be reached efficiently to join the program?
Yeah, so to join my program, alhamdulillah, we have a screening process. Like we don't take everybody on. We take a certain type of person on, as I said, a Muslim man who has a number of hours in the West, a sufficient level of English, sufficient level of communication, etc., who's committed, who's dedicated, etc. And then there is a 2-step interview process for the community. So alhamdulillah, if I'm not wrong, obviously you'll put the link of the program in the description, so you can apply there, brothers.
Of course, inshallah, of course, yes.
Of course, alhamdulillah. So Ustad will be putting that there. But do not apply if you're a sister. Sorry, we don't coach sisters. Number 2, if you're not really willing or motivated to make remote income ASAP. Number 3, if generally you basically have zero time to dedicate to making remote income, etc. Because in the end of the day, what my program does is it gives you a blueprint. How do you get into setting? How do you find a role? We have a flowing job. We have a flowing role board with roles coming in. Obviously, I've got a team, alhamdulillah, looking over my program, including me. And then obviously there are 3 to 5 coaching calls with my team every week, with a member of my team. And we've, alhamdulillah, by the will of Allah tabarak wa ta'ala, I've helped many brothers get into the space, go full time through this program. So if anybody, would like to obviously check out more, just use the link below, fill your details. You'll be given a bunch of different resources, free training, stories of different brothers, etc. More info on what the program has. And then a member of the team, will be back in touch with you through your details, obviously, if we want to go through with you to the next stage. So that's really how it works. There are many obviously different ways to make money online, but I truly believe that if I had to go back to zero and had nothing, I would become an appointment setter. Because to be honest, the way of making money is spending a number of hours a day using your communication skills, setting appointments, collecting commissions, getting paid out at the end of the month or within the middle of the month, and being truly unbounded locationally. And obviously the tawfiq and permission is from Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala. But I really truly believe that with the growth of a lot of high ticket products, a lot of crazy amount of jobs coming out, because we see it obviously, a lot of roles coming out in our community, a lot of brothers getting into roles, a lot of success. I believe that this, by the will of Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala, is very, very promising. This space is very promising for young Muslim men. And as I said, it's not for everybody. If you're watching this, if you live in the West or you're from the West, in terms of obviously being able to speak English to a good level, you're a Muslim man and you want to make remote income and you're driven, because listen, online income is not for everybody. A lot of people are going to stay in, the 9-to-5 work in the West, etc. This for a certain type of person. If you're really driven and you're committed for the sake of Allah, your niyats for the sake of Allah, to stop working in a mixed environment or to make hijrah, then fill that form, check out what we have, and we'll get back to you as a team, inshallah.
All right. Well, there you go, guys. One Way to Paradise doesn't only just tell you about the virtues of hijrah. Here we are actually giving you the Jamil brother Jamil himself, to give you some practical, implementable steps and information, entire platform already put together, ready. It's plug and play for you. For anyone listening, this is literally plug and play. Join and get the ball rolling and benefit accordingly. Everything is going to be in the link. Whatever information you need, whatever we discuss will be in the link of this particular video. Obviously, if you have any further questions, there's means for you to reach out, and we'll give you a contact also so you can reach out and inquire in case there's any further inquiry. And at the end of this session, I would like to thank Brother Jamil for joining us. And I pray that Allah Azza wa Jal makes this a source of success for him, for myself, and for anyone who engages in this, or even for the listeners who are just watching without really doing anything about it. We want success for all the Muslims in both the dunya and the akhirah. And we beg Allah to give us that. And it's not, وَمَا ذَلِكَ عَلَى اللَّهِ بِعَزِيزٍ. None of this is difficult for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So جزاكم الله خيرا, and we'll see you soon inshallah. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.